So, as we speak about promoting a we mentality within organizations, one of the biggest things is important for a company and a leader to promote is a strong sense of culture. And you've done a great job of that within the IT team at Randstad, promoting a very fun culture. You're productive, highly productive, get a lot of things done, but it's a very fun, close-knit environment. And so I really wanted to kind of dig in and figure out what your secret is for that as well, and what your keys are for that. So my first question to you is, if you think back, what's the most memorable team building engagement you've had with the team that you can think of?
Wow. That's a hard one because there's been so many memories and very much in the discussions the last few weeks with some of the team members. That's a lot of what's been reminisced and discussed as to all the memories over the years at Ronstad. I will say a few that stand out. I'll touch on a couple because I can't, it's hard to just pick one team building activity. I think the Ronstadt ride is one that for me has become I would call it a life-changing moment.
Oh
And
wow, okay.
the first time I did it 11 years ago, I rode 400 miles in 4 days, and I did it in honor of, at the time, my wife's grandmother that was going through cancer, and then other people that have been affected by cancer. And that's something that to see people who typically couldn't do some type of strenuous activity like that really push through in honor of a person or somebody that they've been impacted by, I think is really tremendous. And that's really the way it brings people together, and the team building and the closeness that you feel with the people that you do those rides with is really touching. I think more so within the more local team, let's say that was a very much North America type of an initiative. A lot of great relationships there, but within my team in IT, one activity that we implemented that I always enjoy the most is our field day. We call it where we go to a local park and we do all kinds of games. We play softball, we play cricket, we play three-legged race, we do tug of war, we do all kinds of fun activities, and we just have a good time connecting on a different level. We obviously have food and some drinks and get to know each other on a personal level, and I think that's really required, and it's something that was much easier pre-COVID. And I know that we've done a lot of things virtually to try and create that type of environment and get to know each other type of world. I think what's changed for me and what I've seen with COVID is what you used to be able to do. Our team is over 100 people. What you used to be able to do in groups of that size now has, in the virtual world has become something you do at the team level.
Yes.
So the culture of the team of the company is gotten down to the team level, and that's really what drives the culture nowadays. I think that's a big change in how we think about culture building and the culture of a company is you got to instill the right behaviors and the right let's say practices, but in the end it's that small team that you work with every day, that you're engaged with every day, and the culture of that team drives the culture of the roll-up company. And that's something that is a change that all companies are really going through right now.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I would imagine as you speak about that, with it being at the team level, an important part of culture also is making sure people feel appreciated, right? So celebrating wins, people are working hard. The long-term projects, oftentimes they're putting in a ton of work. And so I've noticed that sometimes there could be a tendency to check one project off and then kind of move on to what's next because you've got all these deadlines stacked up that you're trying to meet, and you get one thing done and you just kind of move on. And it can be easy to not celebrate your wins and keep going. But I think from a morale perspective, it's important to at least take a minute, take a pause to celebrate what was completed and what was done, who all contributed, and then move forward. That's another thing I think you all have done significantly well within the IT team as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Jonathan. I always think that's an area that there's always room for improvement. And feeling appreciated in what you do and your output, and making sure that those people really appreciate what they're doing and that they see the appreciation is terribly important to really be successful. And I wish we did it better, but I do think we've done some things that have really driven that a culture of let's call it shout outs and appreciation.
Yeah,
We've got what's called the Mimo app, the Meaningful Moments app, that allows people to recognize a peer, a boss, a friend, another in your department or another department,
yeah,
and it gives those types of approaches are what really drive that personal touch, and
yeah,
that personal, let's call it private gratitude, really goes a long way to being feeling appreciated. And I think you've got to do your share of, as a leader, you got to do your share of having those one-off moments of showing that one person or that one team appreciation, and making sure that they feel seen and appreciated, and not just congrats for finishing. Okay, move on, next project, right? Because
yeah,
I think a challenge in our world is we probably have at any point in time 30 plus projects going on. That's that's a lot of projects that we have going
yeah,
on our team. So to it's sometimes hard to give all of them the proper credit they deserve, but making an effort and doing it at all levels is critically important
yeah.
to building the right culture.
And I think it's trickling down, top down from you, like your approach towards having that personal touch. I've seen like your leaders underneath you mirror that as well. It's ingrained in them because you've done it through them, right? And so I've seen them pass it down and really, I've seen them be very, very grateful and gracious to their team members for their contributions, both one-on-one and in team and group settings as well, which goes a long way. And even with the what matters most, you remember we did the what
Yep.
matters most survey because not everybody wants the same type of appreciation or response. People have different languages, so to speak, about how they feel appreciated. And so we did that survey to figure out what people's preferences were. And then the leaders were able to implement based on how people like to be recognized. And I think that tailored approach in such a large organization, now that you mentioned having like a team-driven culture element, it's important for the leaders to be able to drive that through at the team level and be able to tailor things, even though it's a large organization. So I think that helped out too.
I have to say thank you to you for helping us do that, because we wouldn't have been successful without you helping to drive, really getting that feedback and really pivoting us as an organization. So thank you, Jonathan, for being a great partner.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, yeah. Love it, man. It's great to have people that feel appreciated because they work harder, the chemistry is better, and it just becomes a better place to work overall.
Definitely.
So as we've talked about driving culture through the teams and also remote work impacting that dynamic of culture, how do you personally, as a leader, stay in tune with the pulse of the culture of the organization, given those dynamics with people being virtual and then also you being several layers up and not seeing people in the office as much? How do you keep track of how the culture is evolving or how the company's doing in your world?
Yeah, Jonathan, that's one of those where it has become harder in this more virtual world of, having what you used to do, walk around, I wouldn't call it surveys, walk around chats around the office, where you could really talk to people and at all levels and really understand what's driving them, what's worrying them, how they're performing, how they're doing, all of those questions are harder to get answers to now. And I wish there was an answer to do it more easily. I will say I always I'm very much an open door type of person. I always tell people to schedule some time with me. Let's talk, no matter what level they are in the organization. And I hope that that comes across as trying to be open. And from that is how I learn, what's happening in the culture. And definitely when I'm in the office and I get to see more people in the office, I do have those discussions, right? I always want to have the answer to, what's something you wish, we as leaders knew or could do to help them be more successful. And I think the I don't want to say the trick, but something that helps me do that well is I try to do it in a way that's very personal,
Mhm.
and hopefully people can be more honest with me. And, I've had a lot of, between me and that person type of discussions. And I try not to, take that and use it the wrong way, but really try to understand and take that feedback and make it better, make things better for the organization. And I feel like that's something that I pride myself on. And I've had people tell me that they appreciate that about me. So I enjoy that.
Okay. And that brings to mind for me talking about, as we talk about culture, values, alignment of values is important as well. Like having people that align with the company's core values. Sometimes it can cause friction if there's a conflict in values between leader and team members and things like that. So you can navigate those conflicts, but it does make it more difficult. So when you're building a team, are there any core values for you, whether it's a company core value or a personal one, that you don't budge on when you're building a team?
So I do like the Ronstadt core values around know, serve, and trust. I think are ones that if you can use them in any context and in any discussion in any situation to ensure that you are making decisions and making the right choices with integrity. And I think that is something that's important to me. I always think what's the right thing to do for the company and for all of the stakeholders of the company, not just one person or one team or one group. You always have to think about the bigger picture and make the best choice that the best choice for the organization. And I try to say that I own my decisions and what the outcomes are, and doing it in a way that's honest, transparent, and really with the right integrity. I always like to say, and one of my ex-bosses told me, the why you're doing something is almost more important than what you're doing. And I always try to instill that it's important for every level in an organization, and especially on a team that's working on a initiative, that they understand the why they're working on something, and that brings value to them and value to the company.